all of these.
You lived with a pack of wolves?
Mm-hmm. So
how'd you do that?
I was doing research for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I ran a research camp, and one year a pack of wolves moved into my research camp. I went fly fishing one night, and I was standing on the bank of a river casting, and it was an eerie little river that I was on. It's pretty quiet, but it had a good flow, and I was waiting for salmon to come up, and I was fly fishing for grayling. And I just kind of had this eerie feeling. I was by myself, and I just had this eerie feeling that I was being watched, and I happened to look behind me, and there's a big alder thicket, right? It was like a movie. So my eyes were starting to truncate down on the leaves, and then all of a sudden it came to this little opening. I could see a wolf's face staring at me through the alders, and she was probably 10 yards away, something like that.
Whoa.
And so I saw her, and when I looked at her, she was just staring at me. I said, "Hey, Mama, what's going on?" And I just kept fishing because I wanted her to know that I knew. And I turned my back on her and I kept fishing. Well, lo and behold, she comes out on the sandbar with me, and she starts walking down behind me. And it was funny because if I didn't make eye contact, she was totally chill. But if I made eye contact, she would snarl at me. She'd raise her lips up and give a little deep-seated growl. And so she was standing. Now she's probably 3 feet behind me.
What?
Yeah. When I'm not looking at her, she's kind of trying to check me out. She's doing the whole nose extension, getting a whiff. So she moves off. She moves off down
3 feet?
Mm-hmm. It gets much better. I ended up spending a whole summer with her and all the other animals in the pack. They were just always present. Like, even I would go hiking just to get some exercise, and literally 3 or 4 of them would go with me, and they'd hang back like 50, 60 yards behind me. But I'd hike for like 10 miles, and they'd do the whole thing with me and return back to camp with me. And then it started to really grow because we have this research gear that's in the river so that we can count, speciate, and sample the salmon as they swim through to go spawn. But after the salmon spawn, they all die, right? And so they would spawn, die, and they'd come back and they'd wash up on my gear. And so I'd have all these. That's why the wolves were there. They wanted to eat the dead fish that were coming back down. And so as I started to toss fish off on the banks of the river, usually I would just toss them back into the river, but I'd toss them on the banks, the fresher fish. And the wolves started eating them. And then our relationship just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And I ended up spending like 3.5 months with them.
Did you think while you were doing this that this is probably how human beings and wolves
Yes.
develop this relationship?
100%. 100%.
Wow.